It's a day full of twists and turns, and it has culminated in a surprise appearance of former Finance Minister P Chidambaram at the Congress headquarters after several summons and lookout notices by investigative agencies. In fact, as we speak, you're seeing live visuals of officials from investigative agencies trying to enter his home in Delhi, where the former Finance Minister has walked in just a few minutes ago. Here's what's been happening so far. The Delhi High Court refused to grant Mr. Chidambaram anticipatory bail in the INX media case yesterday. Since then, the ED and CBI have visited Mr. Chidambaram's home several times, issued lookout notices and summoned him as well. Meanwhile, an attempt by Mr. Chidambaram to secure anticipatory bail from the Supreme Court has failed, and the top court will hear his plea on Friday. He has not been seen publicly until about 8:15 this evening, and now says investigative agencies should wait for the Supreme Court's decision on Friday. Before we begin, let's listen into his statement.
In the last 24 hours, much has happened that has caused concern to some and confusion to many. My statement today is to dispel that concern and confusion. In the INX media case, I have not been accused of any offense, nor has anyone else, including any member of my family, been accused of any offense. In fact, there is no charge sheet filed by either the CBI or the ED before a competent court. Between now and Friday, I shall walk with a clear conscience and my head held high. I shall respect the law, even if it is applied with an unequal hand by the investigating agencies. In the name of freedom, I can only hope and pray that the investigating agencies will also respect the law. In the present circumstances, respect for the law can mean only one thing: await the decision of the Honorable Supreme Court on Friday.
All right, are they going to wait or not? Perhaps not. I'm just taking you through to the latest visuals coming in, which actually shows CBI officials scaling the walls of Mr. P Chidambaram's residence to get to him. We're tracking this, of course, and as the drama unfolds, we're going to the key questions which actually come out of the story that we've seen so far. Now, we know the cases against Mr. Chidambaram have been on since 2017 in the INX scam. We know that between Mr. Chidambaram and his son Karthi Chidambaram, they've managed to get anticipatory bail about 20 times through various courts. We'll have to see if they're lucky one more time when the Supreme Court hears them on Friday. But meanwhile, should Mr. Chidambaram have given in to the summons and listened to the summons from investigative agencies? Will they now move to arrest him is what we'll wait and see over the next few hours. The other big question, of course, is how does Mr. Chidambaram now stand in the court of public perception? He's tried to tweak the narrative by appearing and saying that all I was doing for all of these hours was sitting with my lawyers and planning my next legal move, which is my right to do. That's the story that he's putting out. But should he have looked at those summons? Remember, there are 2 lookout notices against him. The Congress, meanwhile, has been claiming this is a political witch hunt. Are they justified in saying that? Is this vendetta, or is this the wheels of justice moving? Joining me now in the discussion are political analysts Neerja Chaudhary, Tejas Mehta, R. Jagannathan, and I'm also joined by Sandeep Parekh, well-known legal mind, for his take on what we've been seeing so far. Tejas, let me come to you and your take on what we've seen through the day. Till about 8 this evening, the narrative and the story was Chidambaram goes missing, he's absconding, where is he? Then he suddenly appeared and said, you know, I'm going to hold my head high. Please don't arrest me before Friday. We don't know if that's going to happen, but do you think he scored a point in the court of public perception?
Well, I think that was the entire idea and intent to, manage the optics, because they were looking really bad given the fact that there was a growing perception that he does not want to appear before the agencies, even though there was, no question of official stand taken by the agencies that they want to arrest him. It would have been just a simple questioning. We don't know about it, what is going to happen then. And it was the optics were really looking really bad for the Congress party and Mr. Chidambaram and of course his family. So I think they took the better sense prevailed when we saw him enter the AICC, and one really believed that from after that he would have surrendered himself or gone to the the CBI headquarters and asked them that you have summoned me, what was it for? But what has happened after that? I mean, it's quite ugly on the entire front. First, we saw Congress workers really protesting outside. Apparently, they have stopped the CBI from entering inside the AICC headquarters. And then Mr. Chidambaram going to his house. One would have assumed that, of course, he would wait for the CBI there, and things would have moved on from there, whether he was to be arrested or taken for interrogation. But then the doors being locked there, and the CBI officials jumping over the wall, which I thought was totally unnecessary. I mean, this is not a case you're running after the thief or something. I mean, for God's sake, he is the former finance minister and the home minister of the country. He's not running anyway. So I think the CBI also overdoing the dramatics over this. But yes, I think I thought better sense would have prevailed, and he would have gone before the the agencies and let the law take its own course. But I don't think that has really happened, and they were looking at actually moving the Supreme Court on Friday. Now, if he is arrested, that entire petition of anticipatory bail becomes infructuous, and there is no need for anticipatory bail. He will be taken to a CBI court or a ED court, and then of course they'll seek his custody. And meanwhile, of course, his lawyers will move ahead and ask for bail from either the CBI court or the ED court, wherever they take him now. So
okay.
I think the optics, the idea was to manage the optics and not be accused of such a serious crime and make it more into some sort of victim that he himself was. But the optics not looking good at this point of time.
Okay, so let that attempt is being made by the Congress party as well, and I'll just show you what Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi have been saying through their Twitter handles today, saying that this is political vendetta, this is a witch hunt, etc., etc. But let me come to the legal position on it. And Sandeep, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. So now we know that the top court will hear this anticipatory bail plea on Friday. As I understand it, investigative agencies are well within their rights to arrest Mr. Chidambaram. We don't know what they're looking for him for. Technically, we don't know if they are looking for him to arrest him or to question him on what they want to do. But if they arrest him, how does it play out?
Right. So I think the big question is, there are two things at play. One is strategy and the second is tactics. Tactics are shorter term games. So I think Mr. Chidambaram was trying to run away, trying to see if he can get bail. So he was from the Supreme Court. And of course, had he succeeded there, then he'd be a free man, and then he wouldn't really need to kind of worry about the consequences of his disappearance. But that didn't play out as he wanted, and therefore the anticipatory bail thing has become virtually infructuous, because by the time his application does come up in the Supreme Court, it would have become infructuous, because anticipatory, as the name suggests, can happen only before you're arrested. After arrest, you to apply for regular bail. So it's almost certain that obviously the CBI guys who are outside his house are not there to garland him. They're going to arrest him for sure. And then he'll have to look at other procedures to get out on regular bail.
Absolutely. Jagannathan, how do you make, what do you make of the kind of timeline that we've seen so far after those visuals? And, we're going to show them again of the CBI actually climbing the walls to, meet Mr. Chidambaram. One assumes that this will culminate in an arrest. I don't know what will happen, but I don't think there's going to be tea and snacks at the end of it. How do you think this plays out? Is it, in a sense, playing into the hands of those who are painting this as a vendetta narrative? After all, is Mr. Chidambaram really a flight risk? There is a lookout notice for him. It's not like he can take the next flight out. What is the message being sent?
Yeah, I think the CBI is going in for overkill. I don't know, probably they're trying to use this time window available between the Delhi High Court order and the Supreme Court appeal to make it sound as though he is going to be arrested or something like that. I don't think it plays well for the CBI. All they should have done was that you please appear at the office tomorrow for interrogation. They need not arrest. The decision can be taken later and given it time. I think the CBI also should get smarter and not allow Chidambaram to play the victim card when he has not been the victim. He has been a huge beneficiary of the system and he's been repeatedly been given anticipatory bail and all that. If tomorrow I were to be accused of the same thing, I don't think I'll get bail 20 times in a year. I think it's not going to happen like that. So I think he is actually a beneficiary of the system that benefits the powerful, but he is now trying to play the victim card, and the CBI is falling into his trap and making it sound as though he is really becoming a victim. So I think for the optics at least, the CBI should know better than to try and do this kind of thing. All they need to do is say that, oh, please turn up at my office tomorrow, we want to interrogate you in connection with the INS issue. That's all they need to do. I think they need to get little politically wise, but they are not. At this point, it doesn't look like they have the same ham-handed way of doing everything.
You know, Jaggi, not many would say that the CBI is not politically wise. They are often accused of acting in a very politically inclined way. So it's an interesting perspective on what we've been seeing so far. Toheen, you represent the BJP today. There is an investigation. The Delhi High Court order does not read well for Mr. Chidambaram. Right now, from his statement at about 8:30 this evening at the Congress headquarters, he has laid the pitch and put the ball in the court of the investigative agencies, saying that I'm here, I'm waiting for Friday, why don't you wait as well? Do you think the optics are playing into the narrative that this is vendetta, a political witch hunt?
The victim card doesn't work after being in, after absconding for 27 or 28 hours. Had Mr. Chidambaram come out yesterday at 6 p.m. and said the same story which he communicated today, people would still have believed him. But what has happened in the last 28 hours is that after trying to possibly, run away from the country and failing to do that or whatever, if he comes to the Congress headquarters, which indicates that he was in touch with Congress leaders and which actually indicates that Congress people were aware of his whereabouts, which amounts to collusion by Congress party, I don't think the victim card plays out at all. But look at the facts of the case. It's not just the INX media case. There are at least 6 cases and all of these follow a similar pattern. FIPB manipulations with a certain quid pro quo arrangement, which either involved, in some cases, his son or other family members, which is a very grave charge. And going back, if you remember, in 2011, Suresh Kalmadi was arrested in similar circumstances. So I don't see any reason why Chidambaram should not face these charges bravely. And in fact, the way Congress leaders have rallied behind him, it only shows that the culture of corruption, the culture of bribery, and this form of quid pro quo deals was so rampant during the UPA.
No, that we'll have to wait and see, Toheen, what the courts say. We're not. The important thing is even the Delhi High Court, which referred to Mr. Chidambaram as the possible kingpin of these scams. Yes,
fair enough, but that doesn't really matter. The fact that he absconded for a good 27, 28 hours, an ex-finance minister, I think that is a matter of grave concern.
Okay, so the point I was making is even the Delhi High Court order, which refers to him as a kingpin, at the end of it says that they're not passing a judgment on the facts of the case. They're only listening to the question of whether he should get anticipatory bail or not. Prima facie, they see a case of money laundering, playing out. Mr. Bhattacharya, I want to get your legal view on this. Mr. Chidambaram says that all these, statements that I was absconding are nonsense. I was sitting with my lawyers. I was burning the midnight oil preparing for the case this morning, and I've been with them since 6 in the evening. Is there any kind of a charge or any kind of a legal obligation on him to have responded to these summons or lookout notices? Because the summon which was pasted on his door last evening said, when you see this, come in 2 hours. Where does he stand on that? Because remember, this is also a top lawyer and a crafty politician.
You asked me the first question on the legal aspect, so let me respond to that. You see, your viewers must know today the entire country is in the dark as to what the exact charge is. The exact charge is that FIPB gave an approval of approximately 4.65 crores of foreign inward remittances into the country, and instead of approximately 4.65 crores, 305 crores came. So India received 300 crores of foreign exchange from abroad through the banking channel. That is the starting point of the alleged contravention. Do you know who monitors foreign inward remittance into the country and what law is governed? There is total intellectual and legal bankruptcy in the country. It is the Foreign Exchange Management Act, Section 3 of the FEMA, which governs. And who is the administering authority? The Reserve Bank of India. I am not on politics, like my learned friend and others, but when did the foreign inward remittances from abroad into the approved banking channel, when did it become a contravention and an offense of law? It is absurd. It is ridiculous. That is the starting point of the entire transaction. And I am shocked that neither the High Court nor Mr. P Chidambaram, nor anybody else, nor the prosecution have considered this aspect.
Mr. Bhattacharya, the charge, Mr. Bhattacharya, is about illegal gains. It's about quid pro quo. The charge is quid pro quo.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Why you are why you are getting so uncomfortable with this law?
Who? I'm
The
not
second is quid
uncomfortable.
pro
Are you
quo.
telling me?
No. You see, you have asked a question. Permit me to answer.
Yes.
The quid pro quo for what?
Yes.
His father and son.
Okay.
Has any nexus been proved? Number 3, High Court. High Court passes an order. It is a money laundering, this and classic case. Do you know Foreign Exchange Management Act is not a schedule offense under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act? I am not on politics. I am not whether it is P Chidambaram or somebody else. This particular offense cannot stand scrutiny, and the Delhi High Court has passed an order which is shocking to say the least.
Okay.
All kinds of adjectives has been used that offenders must be, taught a lesson and all that.
I've got Sanjay Jha.
They must be exposed.
Yeah.
But in the last sentence, the judge writes, this must not be treated as expression on merit in the trial.
Yes.
Having commented throughout on the merit, having castigated on merits of the case, the last sentence, so therefore this judgment is only for the press.
No, this judgment
And
is
I'm
on the
surprised that
question of...
discretionary jurisdiction.
Okay,
Either you grant the bail, or you don't grant the bail. There is no need to comment on the merits of the case.
Okay.
And on the last sentence, right?
Yeah.
These observations, the
Mr.
trial court should not take as merit.
Mr. Bhattacharya,
It is shocking.
You've given
It is
your answer, but
unprecedented.
honestly, we
And
are not
this
in any
cannot
position to
withstand
comment on
the
what a
scrutiny
judge has
of any
said.
law.
Yeah, right.
If
We're not
Mr.
in any position
Chidambaram
to
has done
comment on
anything
what
wrong,
a high
he
court
must be
order
prosecuted,
has said, whether
and
it's
he
right
must
or
be
not.
convicted
Okay.
in
1
a
minute.
court
Let me
of
go to
law.
Sanjay Jha.
He
Let me
must
go
be
to Sanjay
convicted
Jha
in a
joining us on the
court of
show.
law.
Yes,
But the
Sanjay Jha.
Central
1
Bureau
minute,
of
Mr. Bhattacharya.
Investigation-
Mr.
Central
Bhattacharya.
Bureau of
Mr. Bhattacharya,
Investigation-
please wait, sir. Mr. Bhattacharya, please wait, sir. I must move on with the debate. Other people must also speak. Please wait, sir. Please wait, sir. I've heard you, sir. That's not fair. I've heard you. Okay. Mr. Sanjay Jha has joined us on the show. Mr. Jha, Mr. Chidambaram today at 8:15 odd came and said that here I am, I've been burning the midnight oil and now I will hold my head high up till Friday. Investigative agencies should also not respond. We're seeing live visuals right now of investigative agencies and officers outside his residence. If he is arrested or summoned, will he then give himself up? Or will we continue this whole situation where he's saying wait till Friday? They have every right to arrest him if they so see fit?
Tamanna, I have to move on somewhere else, so I want to give you a brief response and carry on. So let me be very explicit at the very beginning. Your viewers, all the viewers of ET Now, and I've come on your channel several times, what they are seeing is a police state. This is a police state. This is where the state is now basically telling the citizens of this country, I can do what I want to do with you. Now, I will give you a simple response. I have debated this entire allegation against Mr. Chidambaram for the last 1.5 years since it came into the public domain. We have all expressed explicitly that this is a fabricated case. There is zero element of corruption. Nothing will be proved in the court of law. Now, the point is that if the investigating agencies, which are under the Finance Ministry and therefore under Amit Shah and Narendra Modi and Nirmala Sitharaman, if they decide to hound you, me, the unfortunate person who died from the Cafe Coffee Day, Mr. Siddhartha, it happens to now the industrialist tomorrow, you have no recourse because the prosecution can present a case to the judiciary.
I know you have a little bit of time, but I must insist you answer what the question is today and what the case is today instead of diverting. The question is that as the former finance minister, whether the charges against him are fair or not, we'll leave it to a court to decide. He himself says he trusts the law. What kind of optics are going out with the fact that he's ignored these summons for the last 24 odd hours? If you want to be a political martyr, then give yourself up and say, hey, I've been arrested wrongly. Don't you think that he cornered himself in a sense by not appearing?
Well, Tamanna, I respect you as one of the few remaining independent journalists. I hope you don't get compromised along the way. So hear me out.
Don't make personal comments, Mr. Jha.
Yeah, but please do not interrupt me when I speak. I find that an extremely impertinent conduct coming from any TV anchor. I've come to your channel as an exception.
Yeah.
If you interrupt me, I'd rather leave than waste my time. So let me give you an answer because I'm speaking not to you, but to the viewers of your channel because they are the ones who matter. So viewers of ET Now, I want to tell them that Mr. Chidambaram never ran away. This is a deliberate, malicious, malignant conspiracy being floated by TV channels who are hand in glove with this government. It is false. Mr. Chidambaram, in fact, gave a press conference just some time ago.
Yeah.
And the CBI
My
got
question to
arrested
you,
at that
Mr.
point in
Jha,
time.
was, my question to you is, should he have not appeared before the press conference between the summons pasted on his door? And I take great offense to you making personal comments on, whether I should be impertinent by questioning you or not. That is my prerogative. I am merely saying that please answer the question that I ask. That 24-hour lapse when he didn't appear, don't you think that was a political misstep, Mr. Jha? My questions are always fair. I expect the answers to be professional and fair, not personal.
Yeah, okay. I didn't get personal. I was only telling you have the decency not to interrupt me because that is one of the...
I'm sorry. If you start making personal comments, I have no choice but to.
Anyway, can we carry on or
yes,
would you
please.
carry on just having
yes,
a
please.
with me? Make a choice. Should I answer you or do
yes,
you want to
yes,
just
please,
get to a...
please.
Yeah, okay. All right. Then kindly do not interrupt me till I finish my brief sentence. All right, here I go. The truth is that these are fabricated charges. If tomorrow anybody on the panel is accused maliciously and an attempt is made to destroy your reputation or to cook up a case, do you not have a fundamental right under the constitution of this country to prepare yourself for an adequate defense? Are you trying to tell me or is anybody on the panel trying to tell me that Mr. Chidambaram does not have a right to get the best lawyers, to consult with the best people involved and to create a defense against what is clearly a media-mounted malicious challenge against him by making all kinds of, what I call as fictitious cases? That's exactly what he was doing. He was never hiding.
Okay.
He has a right to switch off his phone. He's not, duty bound or obligated to answer every question from the media. At the right time, we will answer. We will take up this case. This matter is going to be judicially contested. And I can tell you that this is probably, if the people of India don't wake up, if corporate India and business and industry don't recognize the kind of threat they are under, then we are all going to say goodbye to the great Indian democracy that we had for a long time. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Jha, unfortunately, this is not a press conference. You've given your statement. I hope you stay to hear what the others are saying. But anyway, that's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. But let me take that question across. Let me take that question across. And, really, politicians need to calm down. Politicians need to calm down. Not everyone is out to get you. Listen to the questions, listen to the other person's response. That's the point of a debate. Ms. Chaudhary, yes. Let me come to you and your take on what is going on. I also want to come to the legal question placed that is he under obligation to respond to those summons? Yes, Ms. Chaudhary.
No, I also want to add to what you've said, Tamanna, that Sanjay is normally very measured with his words, but I found today what he said about anchors getting compromised on the way absolutely uncalled for. And I hope he will take those words back, because you don't deserve that kind of thing, and none of us do deserve that kind of those kind of words and charges. Certainly disagree absolutely vigorously, make your points, but do not attribute motives to us who are doing very difficult job in very difficult circumstances today. But coming to your question,
thank you, Ms. Chaudhary. Before you go forward, I want to thank you for your comments. I want to thank you for your comments, and I just want to say, this is not about Sanjay Jha. I don't want to get personal or talk about someone who's no longer on the panel, but politicians across, the scenario, we just ask the questions. Don't shoot the messenger. Everyone gets equal time. But yes, Ms. Chaudhary, please go ahead, and thank you for that.
the optics yesterday was bad. Whatever his reasons, we don't know whether he was preparing his defense, but the impact of him not making himself scarce for over 24 hours was not good, and therefore he's come before the public and addressed a press conference. He's had his say. He's had his say in very strong words that even if he had to choose between life and liberty, he would choose liberty, and that it is liberty at stake. And we are not going into the merits of the case. Mr. Chidambaram may well be guilty, and the courts may find him guilty. What is bothersome and worrisome is the undue haste that we are seeing. After all, he's not a terrorist. He's not a criminal. He's not, at least with no past record. He's not a smuggler. He's the former Finance Minister of India. And I too would agree with the judge, High Court judge, who says that the law is equal for everybody and should be equal for everybody. But that does not mean that law must not bend over backwards to be fair and appear to be fair to everybody. So I would say, heavens are not going to fall if 36 hours are given. Let the Supreme Court have its say. And for the CBI to scale a wall in my 40 years of political reporting, one has not seen that kind of thing. To arrest somebody, certainly Mr. Chidambaram should have answered the lookout notices yesterday. So I think there are many issues here, political and legal, but really the due process of law and the legal process must be fair and seen to be fair in this also. Go for him if there is evidence.
Absolutely.
The country would stand by it.
Absolutely.
But I think what is coming through is that, that we can go for the mightiest also. That is the kind of thing coming from the ruling side.
Okay, before I come to you, Tejas, I want to come to Sandeep Parekh on a very important question of legalese. And, once again, what is our attempt with this debate? To bring you every kind of opinion of people who understand the subject matter and who have a view on it which is important for you to hear. So please, we leave the decision to you, whether this is political vendetta, whether this is justice. This is a nuanced debate. Sandeep, I want to come to you on a very important point with all his fury and fuming that Sanjay Jha made, which is a pertinent point. Is there any legal obligation on Mr. Chidambaram to have responded to those notices or lookout circulars? Is there a legal obligation for him to not shut off his phone, for example?
Right. So I'll take that question, then I apologize, I need to get something. I think the bigger picture is just look at it from a strategic perspective. Mr. Chidambaram took a strategic view that he'll take his chances in the Supreme Court, listening to him today and granting him a bail. It did not work, and therefore he's now kind of stuck. He couldn't be, as somebody who's so high profile from Mr. Finance Minister, he could not really go into the wind, so to speak. So I think he had to give himself up, and just look at it from the CBI perspective. I mean, for them also, this is a very big strategic move. They have to arrest him now because Mr. Chidambaram took his chances and he failed. And if they don't arrest him now, then the anticipatory bail would come up before Supreme Court. If they arrest him today, it becomes moot. So this is, look at it as a piece of chess. I'm not getting into the guilt. So both of them are kind of looking at that. On your specific question on terms of summons, yes, once summons are issued, I don't know if a 2-hour summons is good now, but generally, non-appearance post summons becomes a substantive offence, right? So that's another issue. And I think the final point before I leave, I would also like to say that I think it's kind of lost the public optics battle. Again, I'm not judging his guilt or not, but certainly people found his vanishing, which of course was, as I said, a strategic move, or a rather a tactical move. But public opinion has strongly gone against Mr. Chidambaram as of now.
Okay. Also remember that public opinion when it comes to the legal process will not matter. Will not matter. Let me just go back to the whole 2G scam and the 2G case when eventually a court of law, didn't find Mr. A. Raja guilty. So public opinion will matter to some extent. At the end of the day, the courts have to do their job. But this is a story which is playing out on several levels, and which is why I want to come to you, Mr. Jagannathan, on how you see this. We're showing those visuals again, and Ms. Chaudhary made a very important comment. She said in 30, 40 years, she's never seen the CBI scaling walls. I mean, I'm not there, so I don't know if they attempted to ring the doorbell and no one opened, or what really happened. But what are those images telling you right now?
I think the optics of a CBI trying to scale the wall, not of any generally accepted common criminal, but a former Finance Minister of India who is unlikely to fly the coup, does not go down well. I think it was not necessary, and if they could, since they already pasted a notice, please turn up for the summons in 2 hours and all that, there was no need for them to do all these unseemly things. So I think from the CBI's point of view, they need not have done that, because they are unnecessarily allowing Mr. Chidambaram to play the victim card and make it sound as though this is really a vendetta. They are out to arrest him no matter what the merits of the case. That is, I think, the wrong thing to do. But having said that, I will say that Mr. Chidambaram did not actually play well, because I think when something happens, you don't disappear, and you don't need 24 hours to prepare a case. When you got the same issue, you got bail 25 times or 20 times in lower courts, your case is essentially the same for anticipatory bail even when you go to the Supreme Court. So it's not like some absolutely new point you're going to present to the Supreme Court in order to get anticipatory bail. It did, and also the fact that he was with his lawyers, all of them are Congress leaders. It means that the Congress leaders he was actually sitting in the party office or somewhere where the party leaders are there. So what kind of optics is he creating? I mean, I think somewhere his story does not ring true, and that also will play into the public optics. So anyway, neither Mr. Chidambaram nor the CBI come off too well in this instance.
About the BJP and how they come off in this instance. Tuhin, let me come back to you on what the perception will be right now of the ruling party. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. Your supporters will say that, look, they said they will tackle corruption and they've brought down, perhaps Mr. Chidambaram. And all of these cases started after 2017. Others will say that, look, this is vendetta. Whoever speaks out and all opposition leaders are being targeted.
See, the only people who are crying vendetta are the same people who cry intolerance. So, they need not be taken so seriously. Fact is that if you have truth on your side, you don't require 26 hours of mulling in a case where you have already faced the court multiple times.
Yeah.
So it actually shows that you have, there are more skeletons lying in your cupboard. And like Jagannath ji said, I mean, who are those people who come out? It's the entire top brass of the Congress party, which actually shows that probably it was not only Mr. Chidambaram, but other senior members of the Congress party had also colluded with him in all possible ways. So I don't think it reflects poorly on us. Whether the CBI should have jumped in and entered, I think that's a matter of debate, because sometimes you are provoked into doing certain things. Just a minute ago, I was reading a tweet where certain Congress workers have beaten up a CBI official outside the residence. So I think, the CBI is also being provoked into behaving in a certain way.
Okay.
Now, whether they should cross the line or not is something which is open for debate.
Okay, so we're showing you the live pictures we're getting from ANI. So I have no position to corroborate the claim Tuhin has made. And Tuhin, while you are welcome to your say, I just want to come to you on 2 points you made.
It's a tweet by Times. It's a tweet by Padmaja Joshi.
Okay.
So it's pretty much verified.
Okay. I'm just talking about the pictures that I'm seeing right now. But Tuhin, you made 2 points that I want to come back to you on. You said that the people who are crying vendetta are the same people who are crying intolerance. I'm not sure if it's a very good idea to make that linkage. They're 2 very separate issues. And then the message that you're giving is that anyone who has a problem on anything with the powers that be, are corrupt. It's a dangerous linkage to make. And the second point that you made, that the Congress top brass standing with P Chidambaram shows that they're complicit as well. Well, a party at the very least needs to stand with its leaders. Maybe this entire situation has shown some kind of life within the Congress party, which seemed to have forgotten what their role is as an opposition party. So just on those 2 points, I think there should be a clarification, especially when you liken those who cry intolerance to those who cry vendetta. They may not necessarily be the same set of people. Everyone who has an issue with something the government does doesn't have, one kind of a thought process. That's not a very fair thing to say. Don't you agree, Tuhin?
No, my point is, Tamanna, the facts of this particular case, the INX case, are so damning.
Yeah.
The chain, the involvement of Karti Chidambaram and him getting a certain payoff is so evident that I don't think you can really cry vendetta, at least in this case. And the least that a party which is known for satyagrahis and for satyagraha can do is even, forget what happened 26 hours ago. Even after the press conference today, if Mr. Chidambaram had to take the moral high ground, he should have submitted himself before the CBI officials.
That point I take. That potential lies even now. As we're seeing the pictures over there, Tejas, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few hours, whether there will, be Mr. Chidambaram being arrested and those visuals will come out, or where he is, or what is happening right now. But on the point of the moral high ground being lost, that's an important point. The legality of whether he can ignore or should ignore the summons is another aspect of this.
Well, just to give a short timeline of how this particular case has gone about. It was in July 2018 that Chidambaram went to the Delhi High Court and asked for anticipatory bail, because that's when the case was filed against his son, and son was arrested, and therefore he went to the Delhi High Court. Now after that really happened, now it is 13 months. Generally, for 13 months, an anticipatory bail is it's rarely ever heard for. The court has heard him out, has heard the CBI out, has heard the enforcement directorate out. It was lengthy. It was the judgment itself is 24 pages long of Justice Sunil Gaur, and I've gone through it. It is a well argued, well debated, and also case Supreme Court cases have been referred to. So it was a lengthy process. It doesn't happen in everybody's case. Now, after that, if you have been summoned once again and you do not appear, it certainly does not, it goes against the accused, in this case, or the petitioner, because then the sense you are giving the court or to the investigating agency is that you are not cooperating. So yes, once the summons have been issued, he must appear. That's the basic sense of the law. But if he does not appear, it does not mean that the heavens are going to fall. There are many times several summons are issued, and then an accused or a petitioner really comes before the investigating agency. Now, as far as the optics are concerned about this, as I said, looking terrible for the CBI. They should not have really gone for this sense of overkill when it is not even required in this particular case. But yes, as far as Mr. Chidambaram was concerned, should he have surrendered himself right now? I really think so. I think because what are you going to keep waiting for? I mean, at least lift your chin high, your nose high, choya 56 inch ki chhati, go there and face the law. I think this sense of hide the police game continuing, the hide and seek continuously happening between the police and the investigating agency,
Yes.
and of course the
No,
former
absolutely.
Home Minister of India.
You know,
It's
that's-
looking terrible, but of course I think they also want to get as much mileage as possible from this entire incident.
Okay, you know, you spoke about the Delhi High Court order, and there's another important point that I really want to come to. And of course, this order is, as we've said before, just on the question of whether anticipatory bail should be granted or not. But there are some portions of it which have important messages. One of them, and I'm just reading out, is where the judgment says, the time has come to recommend to the Parliament to suitably amend the law to restrict the provisions of pre-arrest bail and make it inapplicable to economic offenders of high-profile cases like the instant one. It is the need of the hour. The law must come down upon economic offenders with a heavy hand. I want to come back to Mr. Bhattacharya on this particular point, and I know you made the point that if all transactions was through the legal system or the banking system, then how is this a scam? I'm not in a position to judge that. With due respect, sir, nor are you. We will have to leave that to the courts. But on this point, that when you come to anticipatory bail, there should be perhaps a rethink on anticipatory bail for economic offenders and high-profile cases.
Madam, granting a bail is entirely a matter of discretion.
Yes.
It is a discretionary jurisdiction. I am not going to comment whether the court grants bail or does not grant bail. But to give these kind of remarks that it's high time Parliament had made this law, so many laws are there, but very little justice, unfortunately. I don't respectfully disagree very vehemently with the observations of the Honorable Delhi High Court using such strong things, because we have the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, we have so many schedule offences. I don't think we should add to the law. In fact, we should trim down. In fact, I would give full marks to Mr. Narendra Modi's government in trimming down the laws. We should trim down the laws, and whatever the existing laws are there, we should implement it ruthlessly and not starting an investigation after 10 years. An inquiry will go, and all these kind of remarks will be made by Honorable High Court, and they said it will not be binding on the trial court, but this is virtually binding on the CBI and ED. When the CBI and ED read these observations, that's why they are climbing. You see this climbing, so therefore it is time also to in fact, with the greatest of respect, if I may say, there should be a training institute where judges must be trained how to write judgments so as not to, tamper with the rights of the accused persons who have to face investigation, who have to face arrest.
Okay.
I mean, this kind of judgment cannot
I don't see
withstand
any merit right
any
now
scrutiny
going
by the apex
into
court.
whether the Delhi High Court judgment was well written or badly written, or whether it influences. I really don't see any merit going into that perspective. But I will
26 pages.
I will take off from one point you made, which I think is important. Mr. Bhattacharya, hear me out. Important point. I promise, it's an important point. It's worth your while to hear me out. You made the point that 10 years later, these things are being opened up. And I'm going to take this question to Jaggi, because look at the three cases in which, the three broad cases in which Mr. Chidambaram is currently being investigated. One is in the INX case, where the charge essentially is that wrongful FIPB clearances were given for investment in a media house, and there were kickbacks given to his son in lieu of that. I'm just putting it very simply in broad terms. In the Aircel Maxis case also, there is a similar kind of a charge that there was that Mr. Chidambaram as finance. Listen to me, Mr. Bhattacharya, just listen to me. That Mr. Chidambaram as finance minister gave permissions that he was not supposed to. The same is in the Air India case, that he gave permissions that he was not supposed to. Now I'm saying, as governments change and various decisions are taken at various levels, I'm talking about the precedents being set, that when a new set of political players come in place with the same investigative agencies, and you go back 10 years and look at all the decisions made, will there not be ample opportunities in any case, any government, to start investigating whether those decisions were right or wrong?
Yes, Tamanna, you are right. The problem is the investigative agencies need to have a reasonable autonomy so that they can prosecute the right kind of cases in the right kind of circumstances.
I'm getting information that Mr. Chidambaram has in fact been arrested. We're playing out live visuals for you and we're trying to make sense of what we're seeing on the screen right now. But the information I'm getting right now is the CBI has finally arrested Mr. Chidambaram from his residence. That effectively puts to rest any hope he had from the Supreme Court hearing on his anticipatory bail, because now he will have to push for bail completely. So that saga has effectively, about 27 hour saga has effectively ended. Mr. Chidambaram, the former finance minister, former home minister, current sitting member of the Rajya Sabha and one of the tallest leaders of the Congress party, has been arrested in the INX media case. Even as we show these pictures, Jaggi, I want you to continue answering my question because it's a relevant one. You're coming back 10 years later and saying that the decisions you made are wrong. From the Delhi High Court reading, there seems like there is enough stuff against him. Again, we're not one to judge, but he has been arrested. I'm talking about this precedence.
Yeah, I think unless and until the investigative agencies have reasonable arm's length distance from the government of the day, you are always going to have a situation where the alleged crimes of the previous government get investigated by the next government, and the crimes of the current government will get investigated by them. They may or may not be crimes. So I think some mechanism must be there whereby there is an arm's length distance between this thing. But unfortunately, in our investigative system, whether it is the CBI or the ED, these are all directly under the executive and amenable to influence. I think till we make some substantial institutional changes here, you are going to have this. However, that said, I do not believe that in every case they are wrong, and in this case, I think we know that throughout the UPA period, there are a hell of a lot of scams, and most of them did not get investigated when the UPA was in power. And the fact that it has taken more than 5 years to get up to this point in the INX media case, whereas in the Aircel Maxis case, at least a charge sheet has been filed, and that also happened just about a year ago. So I think it is taking a lot of years to get basic things done. So that itself is an indictment of the system, that even where you might be going after reasonable cases, you are unable to gather the evidence for 5 years. What does that tell you about how credible this is?
Okay, very important point. Also the unusual delay perhaps in the decision which came in the Delhi High Court yesterday. I just want to get, Mr. Bhattacharya was trying to say something. Sir, please, calmly, we're all here to listen to you. But big move there after the arrest.
No, I'm telling very calmly. You see, now that Mr. Chidambaram has been arrested, you see, all along CBI and ED have been saying they want custodial interrogation.
Yes.
Why they want custodial interrogation? Because the documentary evidence is not enough. So they expect Mr. Chidambaram to make some self-inculpatory statements. Now suppose Mr. Chidambaram, while in custody, makes a statement, I have already been made an accused person. No person accused of an offence can be compelled to be a witness against himself. So I hereby exercise my right to silence under Article 20, Sub-Clause 3. What can investigating agencies do? And I am almost 100% sure Mr. Chidambaram is going to exercise his right to silence, right against self-incrimination, guaranteed under Article 20 that you have made me an accused. So I refuse to speak. You prove your own case by your documents. Don't expect me to prove your case by my statements. So you see, this desperation to arrest a person after 10 years only shows that investigating agencies have not done their job. They are not perhaps interested in convicting Mr. Chidambaram in a court of law. They are only interested in arresting a person.
You know,
I have nothing against anybody.
I don't know.
But the
I don't
question
know
is
if
that
you can really say that they're not interested in doing their job. They didn't do their job. So should they not do their job today?
Otherwise, for 10 years, what did they do?
But the case
Otherwise,
was
for
filed
10
in 2017.
years, madam,
the case was filed in 2017.
now that, you see, it is a
The case was filed in
10
2017.
years,
Another
you
important
arrest a
point.
person after 10 years.
Yeah. No, so the case was filed in 2017.
From custodial interrogation, I can predict they are going to draw a blank.
I don't know.
They are going to draw
I
a
don't
blank.
have the capability of crystal ball gazing to what will happen. I can just talk about what we know so
No,
far.
no, I'm telling you from
Tejas,
experience.
I want to come to another important
you
point
can't expect,
that Mr. Chidambaram said in the beginning of his press conference today. I want to come to an important point.
The CBI and
Yeah.
ED to say yes, I'm guilty.
Okay.
I've done this, I've done that.
You know, so
what happens
Mr.
if he
Bhattacharya, can you
keeps
just calm down? I cannot hear her question.
Just a little bit, Mr. Bhattacharya, just a little bit. So, you know, see, everyone's talking so
Mr.
calmly. The
Bhattacharya,
visuals,
No, I'm sorry, I'm
the
sorry,
visuals
I'm sorry.
we're showing is exciting enough. The visuals we're showing are exciting enough. The news is exciting enough. I think our viewers will benefit from us explaining things in a calm way. Tejas, I was going to come to another point, of course, and this will be a matter of investigation. It, by the way, came up in the Delhi High Court judgment, and Mr. Chidambaram started his brief statement today at the Congress headquarters with this, saying that the FIR in the INX case does not name him at all. It names his son, really. The Delhi High Court, taking that into cognizance, still chose to go ahead and decide not to grant him bail because they see the linkages very clearly. And they've gone into that in detail. Since you mentioned that you went into the case in detail, what we're seeing so far is what is going to be repeated in subsequent cases and in bail hearings. Does that give Mr. Chidambaram some hope that his name is not in the FIR?
From what I know, his name has finally been added because remember in an initial FIR is registered by the police. It's the first information report.
Yes.
In the complaint there could be several allegations and names, but there's a column where the names of the accused is written. Not everybody's name will be written at that point of time. Do you think really that a Delhi High Court judge is going to entertain a case where this person is not even a confirmed accused? And remember, at this point of, even if what he says is right, I'm not too sure, but even if what he says is right, it is still within the law because he is a suspected accused. He's not been made an accused. Remember that process. One is a suspected accused, one is being an accused where a name is in the FIR, and both are legally valid because the FIR was written much earlier in 2017. These revelations came out much later because it came out through the arrest of the chartered accountant of Karthi Chidambaram, where his laptop was taken, where certain the money trail really was established, and then it went all the way up to Mr. Chidambaram. So it's not like once just because in the FIR the name is not there and you suspect anybody else. If that was the case, then why has he gone to the court? Why has he gone to the court, and why is he or his son asking for an anticipatory bail? So I think he is playing with legal nuances here. But the fact remains that he is a suspected accused in this case. Now, once he's arrested by the CBI, that he's arrested now, he becomes an accused in this case. Even if he wasn't earlier, now he becomes an accused. So that's very clear. The law is clear on that. We cannot just because at that one particular point of time in 2017 his name wasn't there. Why was his name not there? Because yes, the police has to investigate. The CBI, the Enforcement Directorate need to investigate. In fact, what they write there is they'll write one person's name and they will write others. All they will write in the FIR, unknown people, because they are not sure who has committed the crime. So in different cases it's written differently, unless of course it's very...
Okay, I'm going to... Is that Karthi Chidambaram?
Yeah, please.
Let's listen in. Let's listen in. If he is saying something, we're seeing Karthi Chidambaram, Mr. P Chidambaram's son, outside his residence. I just want to play up some ambience so we get a sense of what is happening there. Let's just go to the visuals full frame for a second to get a sense. I think he is about to speak.
Former Union Minister and father P Chidambaram has been finally arrested.
Your question is wrong. What do you mean by finally? You know, this is totally a politically motivated witch hunt. This is apparently about events which happened in 2008, for which an FIR was filed in 2017. I have been raided 4 times. Nobody in the history of India has been raided 4 times. I am the only person who has been raided 4 times. I have appeared before agencies over 20 times. And each time I have spent over 10 hours. I was also the guest of the CBI, so I am quite aware of their procedures and their accommodations. And still, for events which happened in 2008, for which they filed an FIR in 2017, and in August of 2019, they still don't have a charge sheet, which means there is no case. This whole thing is being done only for theatrics and for voyeurism, for the pleasure of a few, and to divert the attention of the people of India from the serious issues. So this is a completely trumped up, made for television, made for media kind of a spectacle.
But
even after the look after
மத்திய அமைச்சர் அவர் வீட்டுக்குள்ள செவரேறி குதித்து அந்த கைது நடவடிக்கையில ஈடுபட்டிருக்காங்க. இது எப்படி இது சரியான ஒரு சம்மன் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. சம்மன் கொடுத்ததுக்கு அவர் இன்று நேரடியாவே ஒரு பிரஸ் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் வைத்த பிறகு இப்படி ஒரு சம்பவம்
நான் சொல்றேனே, இந்த அரசாங்கம் முழுக்க முழுக்க காழ்ப்புணர்ச்சி காரணத்தால் எந்த ஒரு சம்பந்தமும் இல்லாம ஒரு ஜோடிச்ச வழக்கை உருவாக்கி அந்த வழக்கில் சம்பவங்கள் எல்லாம் 2008ஆம் ஆண்டு நடந்ததாக அவர்கள் சொல்கிறார்கள். அதற்காக 2017ஆம் ஆண்டுல FIR போடுறாங்க. அதாவது அப்போ 9 வருஷம் கழிச்சு FIR போடுறாங்க. அந்த FIR போட்டுட்டு என்ன 4 தடவை ரெய்ட் பண்ணியாச்சு. இந்தியாவிலேயே யாரையுமே 4 தடவை ரெய்ட் பண்ணதே கிடையாது. 20 தடவை எனக்கு சம்மன் கொடுத்தாச்சு. ஒரு சம்மனுக்கும் நான் 10 மணி நேரம் அவங்களுக்கு முன்னாடி போய் ஆஜராயிருக்கேன். CBIயோட விருந்தாளியா 11 நாளும் இருந்திருக்கிறேன். இதுக்கப்புறமும் இன்னும் சார்ஜ் ஷீட்டே போடலையே. இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் சார்ஜ் ஷீட்டே கிடையாது. முழுக்க யாரையோ திருப்திப்படுத்துறதுக்கு அரசியல் காரணத்துக்காக தொலைக்காட்சியில ஒரு சில விஷுவல்ஸ் வர்றதுக்காக இதை செய்யறாங்களே தவிர இது ஒன்னும் ஒரு உண்மையான இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷனோ உண்மையான CBI நடவடிக்கை மாதிரி எனக்கு தெரியலையே. Even after the lookout notice was issued, why he was absconding, sir?
Anticipate similar action.
I'm protected by the courts. Please read.
Sir,
Listen to me. Please listen to me. I am protected by the courts by an order dated 23rd March 2018 in the same matter. So all those who are quoting the order of yesterday, please contrast it with the order of 23rd March 2018 by Justice R.S. Garg of the Delhi High Court. Please read it. Please read. Sir, listen to me. Please read para 50 of that order, which clearly says, I have nothing to do with it. And I have never met any officials. No official of the FIBB has ever claimed that they have met me. Please read that paragraph.
Sir, one question here. Sir,
all I am saying is, if the agencies have a watertight case, file a charge sheet. Sir, even after charge sheet, there's still no charge sheet after 4 raids, 20 summons, 11 days of custody. There is no charge sheet. If they have no charge sheet, it means they have no case.
But sir, the court is saying your father is the kingpin of this scam, sir.
Then if they have all this evidence and they have so conclusively come to a conclusion.
Okay, that was Karti Chidambaram, son of P Chidambaram, who's also accused in this case. In fact, he spent 23 days in custody last year, after which he was granted bail. And in fact, he is one of the primary accused in the original INX media cases. Jaggi, you heard what Karti Chidambaram had to say, and it's clear that the political fight is not going to end after this arrest. He is, by the way, the sitting member of parliament in the Lok Sabha from Sivaganga in Tamil Nadu as well. And after he was granted bail, he fought the elections and actually won that seat. This fight is going to go far.
Well, I think the political aspect of the fight will go far, and let's not forget, father and son, both of them are MPs, one in the Rajya Sabha and one in the Lok Sabha.
Yeah.
Karti Chidambaram lost his deposit the last time, and he won this time because the DMK swept the state, and it has nothing to do with his own political this thing, but they got into parliament so that they could make a political case that there is a vendetta against them. So that is the purpose why both of them are in parliament. But I think yes, it is the politics of it that is going to play out. The legal thing is going to take its own time. If they've got a lot of evidence, the problem is something happened with Karthi and FIPP did something. Can you link the two things and say because something was paid to Karthi by INX media, whoever, the Chidambaram did something in FIPB. If you can prove that linkage, then the case stands. If you cannot prove the linkage, the case will fall apart. So that's where I think the legal points will be decided. And I don't know if the arrest is going to prove anything in that direction. But I suppose they can ask Mr. Chidambaram what he did in specific circumstances, and it is not about him being an accused at this stage, but they can ask him what he did as an FIPB, as a minister and and whether his son talked to him. All those things can be asked, and they will record his statements. I don't think he will say, I am an accused and I will not say anything right now. He is not an accused at this stage, and he can make statements regarding what he did as finance minister and as head of FIPB.
Okay, so both Mr. Bhattacharya and Tejas want to come in. I don't have much time, but just very quickly. Yes, Mr. Bhattacharya and then Tejas. Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I would respectfully not agree with him that he is not an accused. He is an accused. Number two, there is a direct Supreme Court judgment on this. Ramanlal Bhogilal Shah.
Correct.
He was the UCO Bank General Manager of Constitution Bench of 1973. Number two, you know, until and unless I would agree with him on this point, the father and son, for some alleged wrong committed by the son, until and unless the link between father and son can be proved, they have not been proved in 10 years. And then the whole case will fall flat.
Okay, that we'll have to wait and see. Tejas, did you want to make the same point, or you have something else to add?
More or less, just more or less, I think yes, he is an accused from this moment, if he wasn't earlier, because he's been arrested now. Certainly Mr. Chidambaram has been accused in this case, but yes, I think the difficulty in this case, as we have seen in the 2G scam also, to prove quid pro quo, to prove this whole nexus, that is the difficulty which most agencies face, and therefore the role of Miss Indrani Mukherjee will come in here, because she is the big coup which the CBI has got. She's turned approver, so what she has spilled out, what she says in the court will matter and go a long way, because remember, in conspiracy cases, and there's 120B also in this case, it is very difficult to prove because there are no witnesses, so therefore her role as an approver will come in.
Okay, I want to come to Ms. Chaudhary, because we'll have to wait and see how the legalese of this pans out. But let's talk about the optics this evening, because that's what we're seeing first. We're seeing former finance minister, former home minister and current Rajya Sabha member being arrested, his son coming and saying that this is vendetta, look at the order which gave me bail, look at this one, etc., etc. How do the optics play out in your view?
I think the real battle is going to be fought in the public arena. And while the Congress party will naturally take the view that this is political vendetta, that their people are being targeted because they are criticizing those in power, and the other side, the BJP and the ruling group, will take the line that we will not spare even the mightiest, the most powerful. We are committed to bringing them to book. And this will also, the question mark before the Congress is going to be whether others are going to follow. If you can have this kind of an arrest of Mr. Chidambaram, CBI scaling, and making the anticipatory bail plea on Friday irrelevant, and therefore former Home Minister, former Finance Minister, all these agencies that have gone for him today were working under him at one point, then nobody is going to can be left untouched. Anybody can, go to jail. Therefore, the message is a very strong one to many politicians today who may or may not have cases against them. And I think how this battle of perception gets played out in the coming days and weeks, that needs to be watched.
Okay, I'm going to end this show today. And just take off from what Ms. Chaudhary said, it is a battle of perception and of message, but perhaps the message more than for politicians is for you, the viewers and the voting public. And people will see this in two ways this evening. One way of seeing it is that this is a heavy-handed government that goes after those who oppose it politically. The other way of seeing it is that this is a government that is doing what it said it would, which is go after the corrupt. We, of course, will not dare to judge for you. We leave it to your perception and your judgment. With that, I want to thank all of you for joining us on the show this evening.